There are some very important skills to learn in pickleball, but there's one in particular that often goes underrated, and that skill is unpredictability. Not enough people talk about this. So in today's video, we're going to talk about some very easy ways that you can be unpredictable to not only win more points, but to level up. Let's get into it.
Before we get into the practical steps, there are 3 things you want to focus on with unpredictability. The first is intentional mass chaos. That's IMC for short. This is your goal. You want to intentionally add different angles, depths, heights, and speeds to all of your shots so that you can create chaos for your opponents. That intentional mass chaos then forces your opponents to make errors by catching them off guard, you freeze them, or you throw them off balance. Lastly, you have to think about your disguise. How are you disguising your shots? This is the secret ingredient to your success with unpredictability, and I'll be sharing some tips throughout this video on these things.
So let's start with one of the easiest, and that is dinks.
There we go. So that's a spot that most players dink there, right? That's like a standard dink spot is that outside corner, right? That's a spot right there. Everybody wants to dink there. And it's a great dink, right?
Right.
It's a really good dink. If you get it to bounce there, again and again and again.
It becomes a little bit predictable though, right?
It does. So what happens is if I'm just doing this again and again and again, at some point, right, I'm gonna float one and then it's gonna get attacked, right? So what I wanna do is I wanna get out of just going, sorry about that, get out of just going to that one spot again and again and again, right?
Right.
Because then, you know, if it, like that one you probably could have attacked, right?
Yeah.
If you wanted to. It just creates a, and you're just sitting on it, right? You're just sitting, I'm sitting. You're sitting, I'm sitting. There's no movement going on. So what we want to do is we want to create some movement on our dinks.
Yeah.
And I want to stress you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go outside, right? And then I'll bring you to the middle.
Yeah,
right?
move me around just like that.
Stress you out. And I'm basically looking for an outside dink and then a middle dink. It could be 2 to the outside, 1 in the middle, depending on how it's going, but that's what I'm trying to do.
Right.
Yeah, you create all sorts of error opportunities, whether it's mechanical, right, or in their court position, right? Because they end up stuck, so they end up stuck out here, opening the middle, or they come over here, leaving the outside attack.
That's great.
If all you do is sit in the same spot again and again and again, all I got to do is, I know I got to stand here. And everybody out there who's played against players, Adam, you know where they're going to hit the ball.
Yeah.
Before they hit it, you're already in position.
Yeah.
Because they have one shot. You know they're going to put it there. So all you got to do is get yourself here. They're never going there. They're never lobbing it or doing anything else. This middle dink, outside dink movement will stress them by moving them in and out and create unpredictability with them. Yeah, the way I'm thinking about it nowadays, Adam, is like, I don't know if you watch these kind of movies, but like The Accountant, movies like that, where they have a wall full of weapons on it. You know what I mean? And so you think about it like, how many weapons are on your wall? How many weapons can you call on?
Yeah.
Right? Can you call on a bow and arrow sometimes, or a knife, or Bowie knife, or a sniper rifle, whatever it is, right? The more you have, that you can do well, right? Because I'm not telling anybody out there, go out and get everything, right? Get really good at the ones you know how to do, and then start layering. Here, if you know how to dink cross court, my guess is dinking here is not going to be that far of a stretch.
Right.
If you're dinking cross court and you want to add, let's say, like an NVZ lob, great shot. Different skill set, right? Different thing on the wall,
weapon, yeah.
As opposed to this one being maybe like this is a certain caliber and this is another caliber. I'm not getting too violent here, but you know what I mean. So you have like a certain type of weapon and then you modify it a little bit,
yeah.
As opposed to like a certain type of weapon and then I have like a off the bounce drive attack, right?
Yeah.
Or a volley roll. Those are totally different weapons.
Right.
This one here is a really easy way to add some unpredictability to your game.
I love that analogy about the wall of weapons. We're about to dive into some more ways you can add weapons to your wall, but before we do that, I have a free gift for you. It's called The Path to Better Pickleball. It's a free guide and 10 videos designed to level up your game over the next 30 days. Thousands of players have already joined, and the feedback has been amazing. To grab your copy, just click the link in the description. It's totally free. Now, let's get back to it and add some more weapons to that wall.
So one super easy way to add unpredictability to your game is with serves. So let's say that you've been serving the same way the entire game. Now is the time to switch it up. And an easy way you can do that is to throw in a lob serve. So what it looks like is much like you're gonna do a regular serve, but you're gonna come under the ball and basically lob it, give it plenty of lift, and aim to get it deep. That's just enough change that can throw off your opponent because they're not going to be expecting that if you've been hitting the same serve the whole game. All right, next up we have the volley lob. Now this is a little bit more of an advanced shot, but I'll give you some tips on when to do it and how to do it. And the beauty of this shot is that it can create some tension, some psychological tension. If you can show this shot early on in a game, show your opponent that you can do it, create that in their mind to be looking for it, and basically if they're thinking about that, they're not thinking about beating you in the game, so that'll give you a little bit of a mental edge there. But whenever you're working on the volley lob, what you want to do is you want to look for your opponent to either be leaning a certain way, maybe leaning in toward the kitchen or leaning away from the kitchen. And what it looks like is you're gonna volley the ball, you're gonna lob it off of the volley, and you're gonna go right over their backhand or down the middle. And some things you want to focus on is you want to keep it deep. You want to disguise it, so make it look like you're dinking the ball, but either go down the middle or go at an angle. That way you have more margin for keeping the ball in. But if I'm looking for patterns, I'm going to look to disrupt that pattern, create a little bit of chaos with that lob, get him back off the kitchen, and then win the point.
Just to show you how effective this shot can be, I want to show it being used at the highest level. This is a semifinals match at the Kansas City Open with Ben and Colin Johns versus Federico Staksrud and Gabe Tardio. Gabe and Fed beat the Johns brothers in this match, and in my opinion, Gabe is the perfect model for unpredictability because he's able to use it to his advantage against some of the best in the world. Check out this lob. Ben and Colin were not expecting this shot at all. It looks like they were expecting a speed up maybe. Either way, it was a beautiful lob, executed perfectly, and he disguised it so well.
This is another fun way to be unpredictable in a game. It's definitely a sneaky shot. It's a little bit more advanced. It requires more touch, but this is the drop volley. And just to set it up, what you want to be looking for is maybe a high fourth that you can drive and keep your opponents away. The setup is really important here for this shot. So you want to be looking for your opponents to be leaning away from you and maybe in the back of the court. And when you get a high ball, you want to just drop the ball and just get it right over the net. That way they can't run and get it. It's a little bit of a risky shot in that sense because you're inviting them to the net. But if you get the right one and you can end that rally, then that's a really good way to be unpredictable. So I'm gonna keep Ty back here and I'm gonna create this pattern where he's thinking that I'm just gonna keep pushing him back like that until I get one that I feel comfortable of dropping. And now Ty can normally get that. He'll get that every time, but if I'm playing somebody who's maybe a little less mobile, then I'm gonna use this shot and get them. Yeah, that's a little bit of acting there. But you see the point there. What you want to do is you want to loosen your grip. You want to basically drop the ball just inside the kitchen and create this moment where they can't get it.
Here's another example of this shot being used at the professional level. Notice it starts with a deep return to Riley Newman's backhand. That's where it all begins. Riley hits a high third shot drop. Will Howells punishes it and sets things up nicely here. He hits it to Jaume up in the court a little bit, and Jaume is moving backward, and that turns into a bigger pop-up. Zane really crushes it back to him, which turns into a perfect floater that Will can fake the overhead and then drop it. Here you can see that Riley is clearly leaning away from the net, and Jaume isn't even in the frame, but you could assume that he's probably leaning away as well, which makes this such a smart decision by Will and the perfect example on the setup, the fake out, and the execution of the drop volley. Even someone as quick as Jaume couldn't get to this shot. So there you have it. Those are some fun ways to add unpredictability to your game today. Since you're still watching, I want to invite you to join the giveaway I'm doing of a brand new Selkirk paddle that is worth over $200. All you have to do is subscribe to my channel, like this video, and leave a comment about your favorite pickleball shot, and you'll be entered into winning this giveaway of a new paddle worth over $200, and I'll be announcing the winner next week. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this or if you learned something new, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another update from High Five Pickleball. Thanks for watching.